Is Kate ready?
Oh.
Walter, God love him.
Yeah, he wasn't feeling it.
Actually, one more second, when we walked out, he said, I wasn't gonna cry, I wasn't gonna cry, I wasn't gonna be one to cry at the top. He was hurt.
He was.
Open session.
1 second.
First item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance, and no, we'll do that in a second. Sir, I'm going to ask you to lead us in the pledge.
Yes, I've done that. You went through the whole words. Want me to lead? I'm not sure.
Yes, you go.
Yep.
I pledge allegiance to the
I pledge allegiance to the United States,
To the flag.
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, I had done that since first and second grade.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry about that.
You're good.
Caught me off guard.
Okay, Carol?
I make a motion to seal the minutes of the non-public session from today and to seal the minutes from the non-public session of the previous meeting.
Is it for a period of
Indefinitely.
indefinitely? Okay.
You can make a decision later to release
Yeah.
them, but indefinitely.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, abstentions, thank you. Motion, anybody with a motion on the minutes?
Make a motion to approve the non-public and public meeting minutes of November 3rd, 2022.
Second.
Any questions or comments on the minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, abstentions, that's 4-0. Thank you. Consent agenda.
Consent agenda for November 17th, 2022. Accounts payable payment manifest dated November 17th, 2022. Distribution of funds from the Building Maintenance Fund in the amount of $11,983.70. Distribution of funds from the Sewer Capital Reserve Fund in the amount of $10,767.73. Appointment of Daniel Kenny to the Energy Committee. Appointment of Daniel Kenny to the Capital Improvements Program Committee. Administrative abatement for map lot number 220-015-089 in the amount of $91.23. Administrative abatement for map lot number 220-015-126 in the amount of $294. Approved disposal by the fire department of 38 lengths of 4-inch hose, 38 lengths of 2.5-inch hose, and 56 lengths of 1.7-inch hose. Property tax warrant in the amount of $6 million, how do you say this? Sorry, $6,014,101.87 with due date of 12/29/22. Approval of liquor license update for Travelers Rest to a 24-seat restaurant with a beverage and wine license. Approval of the 2022 payment in lieu of taxes agreement for SNHS in Riverview Elderly Housing in the amount of $18,627.60.
Those are darn numbers.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Les. Any questions or individual items anybody would like to take off of the consent agenda? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, abstentions, thank you. That's 4-0. And that is some housekeeping. Thank you. Next item on our agenda, I understand we have a new business coming to town. Would you join us?
Yeah,
There's another chair, right?
I'll take this one here.
Okay, thank you, sir. So one of my favorite pastimes is to peruse the local town Facebook pages. And so I know the situation that you've run into on Dean Road in Danbury, and appreciate you considering our town for your business, but it's been interesting.
Yes.
So I know a little bit of the background, but I'll let you expound on everything that's happening.
Okay. To tell a little bit of background, Wayne Cody, the other partner, when we were in Iraq, the bits together, figured let's put a machine shop together. When we got back in 2005, we started the machine shop in 2012. Basically, originally started up in Ashland, and then that ownership, they changed a bunch of times, we closed everything up. I built a house in Danbury, basically a big barn. I live above it and the machine shop downstairs, and we've kind of grown. We've been basically doubling every year. We make parts for the F-15 radar system, F-16 radar system. We make parts for the Navy radar system. Semiconductor, the new P300, P500 system. Right now your chips are beside each other. The new system stacks them on top of each other. So you get more chips smaller, and it's a copper-based chip instead of a silicon-based chip.
If you hadn't noticed, Carl's rather a technical engineer sort of guy.
We make parts for a lot of particle physics experiments. We have a big company that one of the devices we finished machining parts for was a multi-beam, multi-scan electron microscope. It's the only one that will actually take a 3D image of atoms. That's what they're looking at.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of interesting parts to make for that thing, I guess. We make parts for, everybody here of ITER, ITER, the new fusion reactor they're building in France.
Yes.
Yeah, I made parts for them, stuff like that.
Amazing.
So I do a lot of interesting components.
Yep.
The other thing I've done with the shop is I take people, right now I've been mainly women that want to work, and I can't find too many guys that want to work. I take a lot of women that want to work, and the questions I ask them is, are you willing to listen? Are you willing to learn? And I've taken 2 ladies that basically started off deburring. I realized very quickly they have a brain, they're not afraid to use it. And one runs the build department, one's my office manager. And,
So we sort of figured out, we're in an economic war with China, that if we want to succeed at that war, we cannot leave half the workforce behind.
Yeah.
So we have been, Carl's done a super job of bringing folks on that literally had no real future, although they had tons of capability. So one of the things we hope in coming to a community like Bristol, where you have a lot of young people, is to do that same sort of thing.
Yeah.
And bring along the youngsters here who want to do something, who want to work, who want to make something, and say, we're not here to save the world, but if you want to work with us and you got that raw ability, we're more than happy to work with you.
Super excited to hear that.
we have 5-axis mill machines.
Yeah.
I also have robots that are integrated into the CNCs, so I can show people, okay, this is how you run a robot, this is how you do it.
I think, did everyone read the email from Christina? The folks are looking at the what was it, Family Dollar?
Family Dollar, yes.
Building on the edge of town, and it's going to be great to not see that empty. And it's also going to be great to have another employer in town. It's fantastic.
They've already met with the planning board. The good news is they only have to do an amended site plan,
Yep.
which saves them a few steps.
Yep.
And they're in the process of getting that moving forward as well. So
Right, the planning board has just been super to work with, so we put all our application things in on yesterday, so the application, the fee, the letter authorizing us to do the application, so that's all taken care of, and we're hoping to be on the board's agenda for the 14th of next month, and if that succeeds at that point, I think, Carl, that'll be one of the last hurdles before we can officially say we're owners.
Yeah, excellent.
Is that on sewer? There?
Yeah.
It's on septic.
No, it's on septic.
septic.
Yeah.
And so the nice thing about an amended site plan, they don't have to notify abutters, they don't have to wait for public advertising. It's just an application, an updated site plan, and the board can approve it as long as it's put on their agenda.
Because everything is basically an approved use.
Such minor changes that they're making to it, right?
Yep.
I gotta put a 12 by 12 garage door to get the machines in. I got about 14 CNC machines.
Right.
all right, to get them in there and run them. That's
Yeah.
the only way to change.
So I'm asking the board essentially to take swap an existing use for another approved use, since
Yeah.
now it's zoned for an industrial, and you can now put a retail establishment in there. We're gonna put a manufacturing, and that's a one-for-one swap. So we feel that the board, again, was very helpful with us and gave us a lot of good guidance, so we hope that will work out. And I have to say, coming to a community where the community elected officials are supportive of businesses, it really feels good. It really
I
does.
can't tell you how happy that makes us to hear that, because it's been a long process. Whether it was true or not, there was a time when Bristol was perceived as not easy to do business in.
Really.
And we've started years back now trying to make that perception a thing of the past, and really be more active about being friendly with businesses and what we can do to make it work for them. So that's like music to my ears. Yeah.
Well, your town officials are, the elected, the salaried folks, the workers have done a great job. They really have, everywhere along the way. Can't say enough good about them.
Yeah.
Great. I'm gonna want a tour.
One of the things we had talked about, once we get everything up and running,
Yeah.
and going, is have an open house.
I have an old South Bend Model A, which is a one, not a 5-axis machine, but I'm just learning too. That's fantastic. Yeah.
So do you have any questions for us? Anything we can tell you about ourselves, our background? I came actually from state government. I saw from your background you were DES from 1989 to 2018, something like that?
Yes, you look familiar. Is that why?
Yes, I was in HHS for 41 years and on the environmental side of things. So yes, we probably passed across somewhere along
You
the
were at
lines.
Hazen Drive.
Yes, I was.
Yeah, so I knew you looked familiar when you walked in.
Were you in the lab?
No, I was I wasn't in the lab. Well, I was in and out of the lab a lot, so.
So to your question earlier about the septic system, I would expect a question like that. And my public health background, which is what I did for many years, we care deeply about stuff being in the shop. If it's toxic, we're not going to get that kind of stuff out of there. Carl's got to put together a place for recycling the whey oil.
Yeah,
that we
the
make.
whey oil, we recycle it, and reuse it back in the machine. We
Yep.
send it through filters. Our coolant is basically vegetable oil.
Yep.
Based coolant, and that's what it's used.
So yeah, sometimes people have a perception of machining being a dirty trade, but that's no longer the way it is in
No,
2022.
The shop has to be clean. I'm very adamant about that.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
What does HMC stand for?
What happens, used to be three of us, Hannon, Marshall, and Cody.
Okay.
And Marshall bowed out a bunch of years ago. And that's what's that. The logo, if you look at the wing, is actually the Halo wings. That's one of the things. I did 25 years in the Army. I used to do Halo. I used to do jump on the low altitude and high altitude.
Yeah.
All right, I've done that.
How are the knees? How are the knees?
Well, knees are great, body sucks. Both
cool.
Wayne and I have done 3 combat tours. We've done 2 of them together. So we have quite a bit of trust right there in each other.
Yeah.
So yeah, the logo is basically the Army free fall wings.
That's
Halo.
great.
Yeah,
Very nice.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming to Bristol.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
That's great. I love the history of them
Yeah.
talking about this when they were.
Yeah. And,
And I don't think you touched base how much they recycle.
right.
It's incredible what they recycle.
Yeah.
They touched base a lot on it at the planning board meeting,
Good.
so it was pretty neat
Good.
to hear.
So basically, it's a situation where they are currently established, because they've grown, neighbors, and it's in a rural section.
Yeah.
Well, Denver is rural. It's in a rural section, and, neighbors don't like 12 or 20 employees coming, and they had plans to expand there, and, we're not greeted very well.
We'll take it.
So I'm glad to see that they look at that building and,
It's so nice to see
Yeah.
something going in that building.
yeah, and something that creates long-term jobs.
Well,
Yeah.
and so one of the women that he was talking about, it's hard for me to say women, I'm thinking child, but she graduated right around my oldest daughter at the High from Newfound.
Yeah.
And started as a worker, and now she's the office manager.
That's great.
For those who don't, he talked about they started deburring. That's the lowest on
Yeah.
on the list. You take fire, make sure the edges are smooth, and make sure there's no bits that you're gonna
Yeah.
catch yourself on or gonna, yeah. And so that's just tedious manual labor, which needs to be done. But at the same time,
Right.
started there and now running,
Fantastic.
basically running the show and the income and expenses.
Well, it made me think of, we've got the robotics program in the high school,
Yeah.
but getting some.
Well, that's what I didn't want to get into the whole
Yeah.
thing tonight, but
But,
the
yeah.
idea that they can join in with Freudenberg and the other folks to with the kids at the high school who aren't headed to further education, or
You can see
say
Bill's
you can,
wheels turning.
you can make a good living doing that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep.
Very good. Awesome. All right, proposed path planning committee, charge, creation, and direction. Mr. Dowie.
Sure.
And that's under number
So,
5.
Yeah.
I've already formed a connection with those guys because they make parts for the F-35 Gatling gun, which is a General Dynamics product,
Yep.
which is where I was working before.
Really?
Jeez.
Sweet.
It's a small world.
Yes.
Oh,
And they,
degrees.
Can I do the paperwork for one of those?
you don't want one of those things.
That in $1 million.
Yeah, right.
Get it. Yeah.
And they've already said they want to link up to the fiber optics because they've got a lot of CAD CAM stuff that they do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they want the fiber as well.
Oh, sure.
Great.
So that's,
Awesome.
Oh, cool.
that's what we did the fiber for.
Yeah. So many things coming together. It's
Yes.
it's great. So tell us about the trail committee.
Right. So you asked and I delivered what I put in brackets subcommittee charter. And I think you probably have copies of it.
in your system.
And if this meets with your approval, we'll get our subcommittee established and underway for the Penny Path. So, do you want me to run down that item, or?
Yeah. Why don't you? Since it's not 10 pages.
Yeah, so basically, as I said last time when we met, we've become a subcommittee of the Economic Development Committee. And then this subcommittee would ultimately work with the Select Board and the Army Corps of Engineers to get the necessary steps for the MOU established so that we could build this 4-season trail. We don't want to limit a subcommittee to Bristol residents because there's a lot of, since it's a subcommittee rather than a committee, we can expand it out to Newfound residents. And there are people outside of Bristol that are interested in working on the subcommittee. So I don't want to just limit it to Bristol residents. And since it's a subcommittee and they're not sworn in, I think we can do that.
Yeah.
And if that meets with your approval, that's why I put it that way. I would like for the subcommittee to have a select board member on the subcommittee so that we have a direct connection. I would like for us to be able to move a lot faster than we have moved over the last 10 years. And so having somebody from the select board on the committee would make the reporting direct.
Mm-hmm.
So that's item 1. As I said last time, the EDC would provide the overarching for the reporting, the proposal, and the management processes. And this would be a dedicated purpose subcommittee, primarily confined to the Pemmy Park. But, you know, the EDC would provide that overarching management. And if there's any money that needs to come forth or any extra, as we write the proposals for the grants, they'll go through the EDC, and they'll provide that overall context for it. I would like for the committee to have the ability to negotiate with the Army Corps of Engineers along with the town administrator. I think that the subcommittee is going to have people on it that are experienced. Buzz, who is you just sworn into the
Yep.
Economic Development Committee, into the Energy Committee, is a former legislator from New Jersey, and he's had extensive experience, and he's had early experience dealing with the Army Corps of Engineers. And Buzz is an avid hiker and cyclist, and so he and I went down there on Saturday and did a tour, and he's, after 74 years of coming to the lake, the first time he's seen the Bristol Falls, he's totally excited. And
Did you go down the path at all?
yes, we did.
Go to Round Table?
No, we didn't go
Get
that far.
Yeah, just curious.
Yeah. You might know that there's somebody got a tent down there as well.
Yeah, it's been intermittent, but yeah, well, okay, appreciate it.
Yeah. So that, you know, so that's the third item. Fourth item is we would like the subcommittee to have the ability to structure itself, not being overburdened by the EDC, because these people are going to come together and they need to figure out how they're going to form and what sort of structure they need to have. But I'm pretty sure they can do that. And I'm going to be part of that subcommittee anyway, so it'll happen. We'll get organized. I put item 5. We probably a fifth of the money that was on the Bristol Falls Trail came from in-kind labor, Mike Sharp and Company. Mm-hmm. So we'd like to plug into that again, and especially with the Snowmobile Club, that, you know, they're going to offer. I mean, what Mike Vignelli said when we put this last proposal together was $580,000 was going to come from the Snowmobile Club as in-kind labor. So that's why I think it needs to be mentioned here that we will try and exercise and get as much as in-kind labor as we can to offset costs either to us or to the federal government or to whoever's providing the grants. So that's why it's been itemized. Ultimately, when we get a budget established for the path, we would like Bob to manage the finances.
Well, yeah, it would be.
It's a municipal government project, so
Yep.
it needs to have Bob or the financial dedicated representative. Needs to be the financial person that's monitoring it. Mm-hmm. So that's why that's itemized. And then once the path is established, the subcommittee will be dissolved and replaced by whatever the select board deems as the appropriate committee to do the maintenance on the trail. If you designate the Snowmobile Club to be the lead maintenance people, so be it. But at the end of when the trail is built, the subcommittee will dissolve.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So it's not a permanent. It's a short-term dedicated purpose subcommittee.
Great.
You optimist, you.
Have you heard that in government before somewhere?
Right.
So there's a sunset clause.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Any questions, comments,
No,
concerns?
nice job bringing this up.
Pretty
I have
exciting.
Sorry,
Good.
Sean, I have a couple, two.
Yep.
The and I know the intent was to try to take some of the work off the town administrator, but I think a lot of it is taking the town administrator completely out of the loop,
Yeah.
except for the negotiating, so I think that that should be probably looked at before you finalize it, with what parts you want to put back. And not that I want to say that out loud, because I don't really want something, but I really think it needs
Yeah,
to
well,
evolve
yeah.
more.
At the end of the day, yes.
Yeah. And then we're talking about workload for upstairs
Yeah.
as well, so we just want to be really clear about what we add to Bob and how much
Yep.
management of it
Yep.
is too, so.
Well, I would say two things. I would say one is, at the end of the day, reporting, even though there would be a select board and representative, end of the day-to-day reporting is, town administrator should be involved in that anyways. And I'll be frank, the board isn't gonna do anything without the knowledge of we wanted to come through the town administrator. So not wanting to burden you, but at the same time, information should come that way so that we're aware of everything that's going on. That's simple, and I don't think you intended
No.
any of that. We just want to make sure that that's part of the process. And then number two, the town would, on the financial end of things, the town would be involved if there were, if and when we get to the point where monies are involved and created or appropriated, then we would have that responsibility.
Right.
Right. But I am cognizant of the fact,
And especially Bob's retirement is
Yep.
looming very.
Right, it might not be Bob.
It might
Well,
not
we
be
have
Bob.
some time.
We have
But
some
Well,
time,
you
so-
see, I didn't say Bob.
You-
yes,
There
no,
you
you
go.
did not. Yeah, so.
And the only other comment, which doesn't really affect your charter so much, is when we hit number 7, there should be an MOU.
Yep.
Memorandum of Understanding and a maintenance agreement.
Absolutely.
So,
Yep.
So number 3, you want to be a little more clear on that? Is that what you're saying?
well,
Both
no,
Sean
I
and-
think, technically, I don't know if you're gonna assign a select board member to be on it, but it should probably be your town administrator involved heavily with a lot of these numbers.
Yeah.
I would think
day-to-day.
there'd be no negotiations that don't involve the
Right,
town administrator.
right,
Is
correct.
that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying too?
Yep.
Well,
Kind of.
Well, and that's the question, do you, and I'm not saying yes or no, but,
No.
do you want the subcommittee to call Army Corps and negotiate this? Or do you really want those?
I would say we would if the board found it pertinent and gave authorization.
Right, so it wouldn't be just go do it whenever you
Right.
want, it would have to come through the board
Right.
when they were ready to do
Come
those
through you to
negotiations.
the board.
Yeah,
Right.
But you want,
and,
part of the idea is to speed this up a little bit and let this
Correct.
committee do some
Right.
work without having to talk to 50 people.
right,
Conversations can be had.
Yeah.
We don't want commitments made without select board knowledge or certainly town
Well,
administrator.
I think any commitment is going to be documented.
Exactly.
correct.
Yeah.
And
Just being clear, Bill.
No,
Yeah.
I don't mind.
Yeah.
But I also want to make sure that there's flexibility there, but I also want to lock it down
Yeah.
with documentation.
Yeah.
So that if we, I think that initial discussions are going to be with the committee, subcommittee, and you, and the Army Corps of Engineers, and where it's pertinent, you would say, okay, guys, you take that and go run with
I
that.
think we're all on the same page.
Same
We
page,
just,
just-
and yes, we want our cake and eat it too. We want you guys to do all the work, but we don't want to have to commit to anything until in a perfect world we get exactly what we want. But we understand, what's happening and appreciate all the work that the subcommittee is willing to basically take off our hands to the extent that we can let that go. Yeah.
And I can't believe I'm saying this out loud either, but as far as, I feel like the EDC hasn't had any kind of staff support. They've had the select board's been there, but my thoughts are that the TA should probably start stepping back into a role with the EDC, if that's what the select board wants.
Well, you and I
We can talk about that later.
Yeah. So, very good, Bill. Thank you.
So, just to make sure we're clear here, do you want to give me a change to, or to insert another item in here?
I can tweak it based on the conversation. And
If you tweak it, and I'm at this point, I'm going to assume that we're approved to go ahead based on her tweak.
Yes.
And you send that. So you take this document
and send it back
and you send it back to all of us.
Yep.
We have
with your
we have
tweak.
consensus on that, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you're good.
Okay, good.
Are we looking at the membership? Is
Well,
the board looking at the membership of the committee?
This says you're giving them the authority to structure it themselves and include out of town technically. And if you're fine with that, then I don't.
I don't want to be in the position to have to say yay or nay individually.
I'm just making sure I know.
Yeah.
Because that's what we did with the lake committee, same thing.
Well, we did that with the technology committee.
Yeah.
I think that's fine.
Yep, okay.
We're good.
Okay,
Fabulous.
thank you.
Thank you, Bill,
Fabulous stuff.
for everything.
Have a good night, Bill.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
I'm off to Colorado tomorrow for 10 days. So.
Alright, so you don't need me to rush this to you then?
Yeah, I do.
See?
It's an electronic world, you know.
I was gonna say, you get email in Colorado, right?
Alright, I will. But you won't get it tomorrow.
Well, it doesn't have to be tomorrow, just this week.
This week.
I was gonna say, it ends on Sunday.
Okay, thank you.
Have a good trip.
Thank you.
Yep. That would be great, right? To ratchet this thing up.
Oh, awesome.
And that's what it's gonna take is.
Who's a volunteer on the select board?
Well, we kind of just said you didn't have to, you could be your TA.
And
We'll
because
talk
he's
about
not here, no. But Don did say he wanted to be more involved on the path.
As long as they can make it on the night he's closed.
Yeah.
Well, and that he would be the select board rep because he'll be
Right.
gone.
Well, yeah, until March.
Until-
Right. Yeah. it
Well, I'm
may-
sure Bill's gonna be meeting before that, you're right.
And my comments about the EDC was just that, I think that when you first started it, the TA was more involved.
Yes.
And it sort of slid away. And I can't get more involved until January probably,
right,
because I'm
right.
trying to lead the land use
Yeah.
boards.
Yeah.
But I do think at some point that should happen.
Yeah.
I think it will be really appreciated by that committee because
Yeah.
they're feeling like there's
little
absolutely no
neglected.
support.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We have some paperwork for the solid waste transportation.
This isn't in the consent agenda folder, but these are it's in your emails too, under number 6. Oops, sorry. That's the folder too. Under number 6 is the proposal for the transportation of solid waste. We got 2, one from Waste Management and one from an NRA, but it's called Naughton, does the hauling. And Mark is recommending to stay with the Naughton. Obviously, the prices are still less than the Waste Management. Even with the concerns that they've had with the drivers that come, he still felt that it was much better to stay with them, so.
So what were the concerns from the drivers?
We were having drivers that were,
Concern about the drivers?
about the way the drivers were pulling the
Yeah.
dumpsters.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, not
That-
a huge
Not the-
deal, just a,
just that it
Annoying.
makes,
Yeah, no, I know, I wanted to make sure,
it was clear when the public
Right.
comment, right?
yeah. I heard concern from the drivers, not about the drivers. Yeah.
there are two sides to every story.
Right.
Oh, boy.
Well, and,
Or more.
Mm-hmm.
transportation for waste management was $425 a haul, and
Yeah.
Naughton is $400, so it's a slight difference. So we just don't know where the, let's see, does Naughton charge the $6 per gallon with gas? If the gas prices exceed $6 per gallon, then there's haul fees may adjust, but, waste management charges a little bit more. So.
Mhm.
So it's up to the. if
Is
you
the
agree.
other one just a 1 year? I need to see Waste Management gave us a 5-year offer, but
Yeah, yes, the other one looks like it's just a 1 year,
it gives us some latitude.
from January 1st of 2023 to December 31st of 2023. I wonder if Mark, he said that he handed this to me, he's like, it's a no-brainer. I'm like, okay, but then I'm wondering if he asked NRA what, I bet you they wouldn't lock in for
They might not.
5 year right now.
Yeah,
Waste Management was able to kind of figure out it's gonna, by the end of 5 years, it's gonna be over $500
yeah,
a load, but
yeah.
maybe NRA didn't wanna do that.
Okay.
So, so that's the, well, the top one is Waste Management.
Yep. So I will entertain a motion to approve the transportation contract with Waste Management.
Nope, none.
Sorry.
Whoa.
I will entertain, well, wait a minute, what do we,
It's
is it in the,
And our,
NRA, he calls it Naughton for some reason.
okay. Entertain a motion to, execute the contract with NRR.
Naughton Recycling Center, there you go.
For solid waste hauling.
Sorry, Deb.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, abstentions, that's 4-0. Thank you. Do we have that paperwork?
It's in the back of that packet. The top is Waste Management,
Yep.
so the, I think the last page, last couple of, yeah, you can throw them out. I wasn't sure which one you would do, so,
Yeah.
there you go.
Okay. Town of Bristol. I would like to make a motion to authorize the town administrator to sign on behalf. There's only one line.
Oh, okay, sorry. Or the chair.
Or authorize the chair to sign on behalf of the town. Seconded by Les.
Yep.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That's 4-0. Yeah.
I got lost there. There you
Yes,
go,
because
sir.
if you say town administrator, technically I can't sign it yet.
Oh,
The DTA.
tricky.
I'm kidding. I think I'm a little punchy tonight.
I would think.
Sorry, just give me 1 second. Forgot how to write. Today is 11/17.
That's so exciting about that company.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now we're gonna have to make workforce housing.
Yes.
You said that out
I
loud.
read that, you see that last night.
Yeah, I didn't say that out loud, sorry. That
No,
was
that's all
tongue
Just
in,
you?
Yeah.
that was tongue in cheek. But
Thank you,
okay,
sorry.
Oh, no problem.
Those are good paying jobs too, even on the low end, those good paying jobs for people just starting out. All right, hold on. Administrators report.
So it's in your folders as well as number 7. You saw the information about one of the minute takers. We were gonna, I felt it was reasonable to keep that person just on the budget committee.
If they're still willing to do it,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's gonna be too hard to replace that right now. So we're gonna work on the rest of it. We've replaced cemetery trustees currently, but we'll work on how it goes forward. But skip down to organization flow charts. The binders in front of you have the flow charts in them, but don't take them tonight, because we would like to add we thought adding acronym lists and emergency contact lists for storms and
Yeah.
things like that. We would like to put that in there, and then this gives you a little bit of a sort of Bible, but.
Okay.
So if we leave them tonight, we'll take care of getting the rest in, so.
Well done.
Was there something else you'd like to see in there, Mr. Brown?
Had we talked about putting in the pay scale on each box?
We
I
could,
know that changes some, but it's,
we could put that, well, I mean, we could put that in there. It is changing if
Yeah.
everything goes through next year, but we could put that in there.
Okay.
Because then you'd always have it if you needed to look at something
it's,
quickly.
this is.
It
gonna
just won't be in that because it's bigger, it won't be in one of these sleeves, but we can
Right.
do that, that won't be a problem,
Right. Okay.
so.
It's fabulous. It truly is.
Okay.
Thank you. We know that was a simple request, but
Yeah.
a difficult lift.
Gathering
Yeah.
them all together was and then
Yeah.
the acronym list has turned into a challenge, but that will, because we couldn't get it, it's so much on it. So we started with land use boards, which was it was very easy to do land use boards, or they had one page. But when you start thinking about all the other departments and their stuff,
Right.
we reached out and got all the stuff from their departments. So now we're just putting it into some format that makes it easier to read
Okay.
and print.
All right.
Job descriptions, if you're good with that, oops, sorry.
Nothing, I'm talking to myself. I said, this is great.
Job descriptions, if you're good with that, with my suggestion, we'll do like a 15-minute, half-hour work session before your meeting and just do a department at a time.
Yep.
Okay. And we'll start that on December 1st.
Great.
So, transfer station meeting, if you have any questions about that one, I thought it went well.
Great.
One of the people that I put that I thought was applying has actually told me they're not now, so. But we're gonna get it advertised, I think Dawn is working on getting the advertisement out for Mark, and we should have that advertised very shortly.
Nice.
Then I'll just leave the town office generator for you to read.
Yeah, yeah.
But, I did send that in your emails, didn't I, the Hall Road
Yes.
email? Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you have any questions, I did send that email back and I did explain it a little bit better in the second email. We've gotten no updates yet from DES, so we're not doing anything further, of course, with that because we just have to wait for DES to do their part. KTZ Hydro, we had an appointment scheduled for today and they canceled, so I'm trying to reschedule to try and handle their concern over the parking. Affinity LED, we're almost to the point, it's a really neat program. We're almost to the point that we're taking it over. There's training's been done with Mark's group, and I sat in with the training, and it's really neat what it does.
Yeah.
So hopefully we're not quite sure what it means if we take over the program and they no longer monitor it,
Right.
and if we have to monitor it. So we're working to fine tune those. The second part of that was I know that we had said not to do the LED project for the town lighting, but there was, I thought about it, and we have those other funds from ARPA sitting right now, they can only be used for specific things. So I asked Bob to reach out to find out if it could be for those, so that we could just get all of the lighting on, and it can be.
Oh, that's great.
That's why I put it in there to have you decide if that's something you want us to pursue then at this point and use the funds from the ARPA.
Yeah.
To get that done and close that loop.
Well, let's get a price on it.
I have a price
You have an exact?
from Affinity, it's
Yeah.
about 18,000.
Okay.
And that will, and the only question, I didn't like the lights that they put on their
Yeah,
picture.
let's review that.
They should be closer to what's there.
Exactly, yeah.
So that may change the price a little, but I can push that back and forth and get that back to you
Okay.
if that's what we wanna do.
I think so,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
that's great.
Fire department disposal, I know you approved it on the consent agenda. Do you have any concerns with what he's recommending to do
No.
with the disposal?
No,
He was very specific.
yeah.
Yes, he was. Library, request, so since I wrote this, I've had, another thought came into my mind, but I was concerned with, in the past, we've approved, their work to be done through our regular building fund, capital reserve, and, this is a $10,000 total request, and they do have to have the electric work done, the ballasts have to be replaced in the basement and fix the lighting. My concern was obviously the number, and it's a capital reserve fund that technically had a specific purpose for it for this year, to get the police department moved. And my
Yeah.
concern with taking that money out is that it might leave us a little short if something happened. Bob and I were talking about budget today, and it came up that we haven't spent anything out of the contingency fund yet.
Okay.
So the thoughts were, if you agreed, and she couldn't get anybody else to quote this, by the way. Nobody, no other electricians would return her calls or show up.
Yeah, it's so hard right now.
So I did get an electrician to come out to do some, to quote some things. I didn't get it in the report because I wasn't sure he would come yesterday, but he's a different electrician. I could ask her to quote with them if we wanted, but I don't know if he'd be able to come out and get it done in time either. So the question would be is if you agree, we would pay for that out of the contingency fund if you agreed.
We have 20 in the contingency.
25,
Yeah.
yeah.
I-
Is it 25?
And that's its intent?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Which it wouldn't touch the capital reserve, and that would
Right.
still leave us time to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is appropriate, and I would also say that I think we haven't done it of late, but historically, we have, when we've done that, we've informed the budget committee that's where that money is going.
I can
So.
do that, they're November 29th.
Yeah.
Contingency.
Just let them know that we're using $11,000 out of the contingency fund.
Library and notify budget, okay. Oops, so the library request, last thing is electricity, there's two more things. Electricity rates, I sent you out 3 options, when I misspoke, when I told you before we were off that.
Yeah.
Contract expires on December 17th, we've been going back and forth with them, they had given us rates back when we talked last, it was 18 cents, I think I told you, and it was at that time, but we hadn't locked in, and it's dropped a little bit. So he was able to get us, 1 year it would be 15.6 cents, 2 years it would be 14.8 cents, and a 3-year lock-in would be 13.8. Energy Committee met Tuesday night, and Jeff was at that meeting where he represents us for them. And he said they're recommending 3, but Jeff and I were leaning more towards 2 because
Choose
it's
a
just,
number in my head.
yeah, we were concerned, well, yeah, great, the electricity rates, I don't see it getting any cheaper in the next year, but what happens in the next 2 to 3?
Right.
So,
Right.
but right now we're at 10 cents, just over 10 cents per
Yeah.
kilowatt, and that expires December 17th.
Okay.
So we will go up to, if we do the 2-year, to 14.8. But that's still better than the first time they quoted us.
Yeah,
If
absolutely.
we'd have locked in back then, we would have been stuck with 18 cents.
Yeah.
So,
Are we
and
good
that
with-
doesn't eliminate the Eversource part of the bill.
Right. Are we
There's
good?
a supply and demand.
Absolutely.
So I mix up which one's which. I think the supply is Eversource.
It's not, it's
No.
not supply and demand, it's
Yeah.
supply and distribution.
Thank you. Distribution.
Yeah.
I like it. So Eversource does one and this company.
I wish it were supply
Does
and
the
demand.
other.
but
Yeah.
it's-
Yeah, we'd have our lights off all the time.
Yeah.
And so we even we pulled some other information, I asked Jeff to, and my understanding is Eversource is up to like 29 cents per kilowatt. So it makes sense to try and go through this company and lock this in.
Yeah.
So in my packet, there is the three options, depending on which one, I have them here to be signed.
I think we have consensus on the 2-year,
Yep.
All right, let me just
Yep.
pull that one.
so I'll entertain a motion to,
Look at that, right on top.
does it have one?
Whoops. Well, where's the signature page? Yep, just one signature.
Okay.
Right there.
Les, can you put that together?
A motion?
Yeah.
I can. Let's see.
Is it just
I'll
yours?
write myself.
I would make a motion to approve a 2-year contract with UMG Bulk Energy.
Constellation.
Oh, I don't have all that. With Constellation. At $14.80 per kilowatt hour.
And authorize
And I would authorize, who do you want
this chair.
the board chair to sign on our behalf.
Nicely done. I'll second that.
Seconded by Carol. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, abstentions, it's 4-0.
And so the last thing that I have was in the consent agenda, some of you may have signed already, is the equalization ratio
Yeah.
data certificate. The preliminary ratio is in that packet. We just need to have the certificate approved and signed so I can submit it to the state so that they can do their final review.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll find something that brings that up a little bit, but, and sometimes they do, they find things that we missed in our, we missed in our review. So I just need someone to approve that, or if they have any additional questions on what the equalization ratio means.
Okay. All right.
You need a motion on that?
Oh,
Yeah, it wasn't on the consent agenda.
okay, yep.
What would that sound like?
It's in the packet, somebody probably already signed it, but it's that data certificate.
I will make a motion to approve the 2022 Equalization Municipal Assessment Data Certificate. Seconded by Anita. Any questions, comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, abstentions, 4-0.
And there's one more thing, sorry.
Nope.
Transfer station lead attendant, I know, I just wanted to, you probably should approve the change to the job description if you're okay with that last sentence. And then that just covers us with it, we don't have to bring that one back to you.
Okay.
Make a motion to accept the transfer station lead attendant for the highway department.
Job description.
Job,
Job description.
Job, do I say the job?
Yeah, you can say the job.
Job summary manages the disposal of
Oh.
solid waste and recyclables.
You don't have to say all that, sorry Anita. You can just say the transfer station lead attendant and it's a job description.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Les.
You don't have to sign anything.
So what was it, the substantive change?
Yeah, I was just gonna
The
ask.
sentence that was added was, plans, organizes, and coordinates the activities of the Household Hazardous Waste Day with Lakes Region Planning Commission.
Got it, right.
Everything else is what we showed you before,
Yeah, right.
just that one sentence.
Although, okay, any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, abstentions, thank you, 4-0. Thank you.
That's it.
Select board items, Carol.
I talked to Christine about this. I was pretty, I was pretty I was unclear on a lot of what we talked about for setting the tax rate. And I was thinking maybe we could get together and have a little training session on some of that before town meeting for
Yep.
all of us.
Good idea.
Yep.
Just so that we're all, if questions come up individually, that we're really solid on answering them.
I'd love that.
Yes.
I missed that meeting too, so I'd be delighted.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yep.
That's all I got. That's all I got.
Okay.
No,
Les? Oh, hold on.
You have one thing from the budget committee.
Say again?
You have a budget committee question?
Yeah, I know, if you don't write them down.
Abstaining?
Oh,
Or changes in the budget,
Oh.
whether you should abstain
Yeah.
or not?
I mean, you know me, I'm okay at making my own decisions, but I want to make sure I'm not. For the budget committee, I don't want to approve something that is reverse of what we have already discussed, except in your case, it would have been, Janet wanted to give her 10,000, not her 8,500.
Not me,
The
creative promotions.
I was fine with you hearing it.
Well, I think something like that is fine. I've always, this has come up in the past.
Yeah,
You are a voting member of that board. You can vote however you see fit.
well, and I wouldn't, out of respect for all of us, I wouldn't.
I've
Wouldn't
always,
do that.
I've always maintained that you are also the representative of the select board.
Right.
And should be at least in conversation, if not in vote, expressing the reasoning and the desire of the select board,
Yeah,
since you're, yeah,
that's how I feel, right?
yeah, okay, good. Yep.
But if something is obvious like that situation. then-
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they did change two numbers, reduced one and added some to another, so.
Yeah.
But-
Okay.
Thanks.
Les?
What, does everybody have the cemetery information, or was this just left on the table here?
What
Oh,
is?
sorry, that's mine.
Oh,
Okay,
that's
oh, good.
No,
It was
I'm straight from there to here.
fascinating reading though. All right.
well, and we've been working with the cemetery trustees to fix their bylaws based on illegal, because they have a right to inter.
Right.
And the attorney has recommended to not do deeds, and their bylaws said deeds, so we fixed that, we made it right to inter, and we're working with them to finalize all that.
Okay.
They will have a right to inter going into, I'm sorry, Kate, which cemetery, do you remember?
Sanborn.
Sanborn,
There
yeah.
are two, there are gonna be two requests there.
Yeah, so they have two, and they've had to update their bylaws to be a little bit more specific about perpetual care versus,
Is Sanborn across from, wow, it's
La Valleys?
but La Valleys?
No, that's Worthing. So Sanborn's up on Pekin Hill Road.
Yes.
Right across from Old Stage, and so the second request is, Lynn.
Yeah,
Whose house we visited.
yeah.
and we're working with them also because they have a project of fixing stones.
Yep.
So Richard and the commission trustees are working to get a request so that we can encumber their funds, because
Yeah.
it's gonna cost more than next year's budget, and they have money left this
Yeah,
year. So we're
that's-
working to encumber it.
Great.
So, just so you
Okay.
know.
I didn't realize that you could not plant flowers on graves out there or put flowers on without written permission.
A
Yeah.
lot of them you can't.
No more flowers. So I had just a couple things. One, as an aside to Christina, if I were to take the trash from Old Town Hall, I never thought about it until I went in to get Taylor Rental in for the tables.
Did you bring back the key and the check? We didn't give you a checklist.
I thought I gave you
We should have given you a checklist when we gave you the key, because the checklist reminds us to do those other things when it comes back. So, but we'll make sure trash removed from.
From the dance.
yeah, I'll have to check with the key. I probably have it in my car.
You can just, if you do, you can just put it in the Dropbox plus.
Okay.
So we don't charge you $25 for the
Thank
key.
you. Thanks.
I need a motion on that, no.
That event was very successful.
Good.
It was a great night. So we'll probably do the mud season mixer in the spring.
People are
People
asking.
had such a good time.
That's great.
It was really cool. So.
Oh, that's good.
Good.
Didn't make it down.
And then, just from a Kelly Park Committee standpoint, did you have a question about that, though?
No, I got something else I remembered, but continue.
Well,
Write it
you just
down.
have to wait your turn.
I know. Next meeting, is everything?
Kelly Park Committee, the events committee had advertised to have an ice rink committee
Yeah.
formed, or people that were interested in an ice rink to come to a meeting and discuss the possibility of doing it. So some of us can remember the other ice rink and what a horrifying experience it was for those people that were working on it all the time.
Yeah.
But they're looking at a much smaller scale project. There's two places that they narrowed it down to. One was the tennis court, because many towns do it on their tennis court. And the other was under the pavilion as a possibility, because then you'd also have lights. So I'm just bringing that forward so that we're all aware of that's what they're looking at. And if we have any strong objections to either one of those spots, we need to let them know.
Is there enough room under the pavilion?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think
So,
not for a hockey
Did they-
game.
did they-
no,
No,
it wouldn't be
yeah.
hockey.
Yeah.
Did they put a liner down last time? Did they put plastic down on the?
Oh, yeah.
We had
Yeah.
boards
Yeah.
and plastic, and this would just be plastic, and I think they're talking PVC on the edges. It'll be.
There's a lot of there's a lot of options on the lessons. Yeah, they make little knockdown boards that you can put. There's you can make the same thing with plywood and
Right.
like you said, or PVC
And
pipe.
they're looking at maybe getting donations for the plastic and
Yeah.
that stuff. And
Yeah.
That's
doing
the
it.
easy part.
And then there
Oh,
supposedly is a town snow blower.
Yes.
Yes.
That was the ice rink snow
Yeah.
blower, so they would be interested in storing that on site, locking it in the tennis court if they choose the tennis court, or
So they had a door that they put on, last time they took one of the dugouts, put a door on the dugout, locked it so that you could use the tent.
I
You
suggested
could barely
that.
get it in and out, but you got it in and out.
Yeah, that's what I suggested to them, so they may, if they choose the tennis court area.
Yeah.
And I have to send it out to Kelly Park Committee too, so they're aware.
Okay.
But we are gonna resurface the tennis court. We've encumbered those funds, or we will encumber those
Yeah.
funds. So this might be a good trial run if we're gonna do it. And then EDC meeting was last night, and what they're asking, and I said, I just feel like we keep having this conversation, and nobody's satisfied with it, that they really wanna know, do we wanna suspend EDC? Are we gonna give them some goals of what we wanna see them working on? And I think it's a very fair question.
Yeah.
I do feel like they've kind of been pushed aside, and if you're not actually accomplishing something as a group,
Right.
it gets very frustrating, and I'd hate to see us lose them because it's a good group of people, but the frustration level is high. So I know in March, one year in March, we had goal setting.
Yep.
We did a goal setting session, and that might be helpful.
I think so.
And I suggested we have a meeting together with EDC and the select board, and they wanted no part of that. They didn't feel it would go anywhere, but it might if it's a goal setting type of session.
It might if it was a goal setting and there was a facilitator.
Yeah. this one.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
So it's not just us going back and forth.
and I think if we were to send out an invitation to that respect, maybe go to their next meeting.
Yeah.
Come to them instead of them coming to us. it might be helpful, because I think there's a lot of value to what they wanna do, but they won't, it's kinda like, what do you wanna be when you grow up?
Right,
Well, we want the select board to give us the guidance of where they want us to go.
right.
So if we can.
And to be fair, we have put some of that stuff aside because we've had a lot of other things that we've had
Right.
to deal with.
Which I pled our case.
Yeah.
And I also said that things came to a screeching halt. Actually, as Rick was getting ready to get off the board, the board as a whole said, Nick, we're done with more projects, more
Right.
projects, more projects.
Right.
We're gonna wrap up what we've got, and then we'll look at other stuff. And so we really put a screeching halt to his involvement in getting more projects started. So I think there's a lot of value to what they do, and so I
Agreed.
just wanted to say that. And then the only other thing, what?
Can I just add, so I do think there's a whole lot of value to what they do, and then I just think that they do need some direction, because the more projects you do, the more work you put on some people here, and you don't mean to.
Right.
Like, simple things like the solar pilot, somebody's gotta follow up and make sure those payments are in and the insurances are here, and they do with everything they're supposed to file every year.
Yeah, just like giving Bob financial, for the path, just so we get talked about tonight.
Yeah, yeah.
And we may want to look at that in a future budget. We had that in a budget to have somebody that would be able to work with EDC and help with projects, and then we didn't do that. We may want to look at that as a future goal. The only other question I had, go ahead.
Sorry, and there could be a staff person to help support them as a future goal, but that staff person isn't going to probably do your pilot payments on projects or things like that.
No, there's
So-
gonna be things that still end up, and we need to be able to draw the line on what your
And
time
I'll
is.
throw this out there, you still have 30,000 in project manager and the executive budget. Hasn't been
Wait, didn't
cut
we
yet.
do something with that already?
We're using it this year.
Yeah.
And I know I'm interrupted less, sorry.
No.
Jay, I did
You
forget
start.
to add that onto the town administrator report. We've been working with Louis Carno. They're the people that had done the business development site, and we're getting it updated. They've got that new contract, it's $6,000 to get it updated, write some blogs on it, clean it up. I'm gonna meet with Kate on Monday to
Great.
talk to him about some of the ideas, and Winwood Productions had a contract signed with them by Nick back in June. I don't know where that leaves us at, because I'm not sure if we want to still go that route with them or not, but there is a signed contract.
Yeah.
So, so we're trying to get all that ready for you before the end of the year, so you can make sure we don't miss anything.
Okay,
So,
great.
sorry, Les, go.
That's okay. No, the only other question I have is the trailers on Summer Street.
Yeah,
It looks like we've got a campground there now.
Where?
behind.
We're working, I know where you are, yeah.
Yeah.
So we called the owner.
Where?
The owner.
If you go up Summer Street, it's pink and gray or pink and something.
The owner lives
house.
in
Across
another
from the
state,
Old Town
Yeah.
Hall.
and he did not know they were there. So we've contacted him verbally first. Then he confirmed, and we told him that they couldn't stay there, and they have no place to go apparently, but they're supposed to be getting out of there. And I told Jordan, you need to put it in writing. He needs to get a violation order, or first the first nice order,
Yeah.
and then we go to violation next. It was one camper, and now I think there's more.
There's
Yeah.
at least 3.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Last I
somebody
saw.
said the lights are on in them at night, so it's
Yeah.
actually people staying there.
It's rental property.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, so the owner doesn't even live here, so he doesn't know what's going
Right.
on, so.
Maybe.
So, yeah, maybe. So
But-
I will let Joanne know that there's more now.
That was it. I'm done.
Okay. Anita?
This is kind of a strange thing. I don't want it to be incriminating, or I have 2 people on my road that have approached me about another place on my road where they're curious what they're burning in their wood stove, because it is toxic. You walk down the road and you feel like you could pass out.
Is that something that we can direct to the fire chief?
Is that right?
I'll ask, he's not back until next week, but
Yeah.
I will ask him, because I think there's something about noxious.
Yeah, you're not
something-
supposed to be burning
DES,
anything.
DES
DES,
rules has.
Yeah,
I'm
at first
pretty
we
sure.
thought
Yeah.
maybe it was just green, but it's,
That's not good.
I mean, no, it's not good at all. I mean,
Okay.
they're both-
No, that's,
And you said, can you email me the address or if you know it?
I can,
Yeah,
I
okay.
can, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I just.
So we have that going on in our neighborhood too?
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what they're.
Not to add to your list.
Oh, but I think I know who that is.
Yeah, you do.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
And
Our,
also,
our other issue and comes from that same
Just,
resident.
Yeah,
just
yeah.
pile on.
I know.
and wonderful reports from lots of people in the town about voting, how
Mm.
great it all went, and everyone so respectful and efficient and all that. Of course, they still complain about the parking.
Yes,
Yes.
parking in the walk.
Parking in the walk.
And
Yeah.
Well, that's where I was
Andy
going back
Lerner the
around.
other day said that she thinks that
Yes,
the Marion Center may be available again. She's gonna be working on that. There's a new regime
I
and
would like
she
that
thinks
very
that
much.
would be a
Yeah.
good possibility, so.
and I did talk to Rayma, so I'm glad you brought that up. Butch had said that we probably should bring it to the board, but it's too early to do that. We just finished
Right.
and we have time to plan, so I was gonna hold off, but there was comments about parking that came in, and there wasn't enough handicap parking. That parking lot should be revamped at some point, and that may come when they start doing the road changes.
In a 10-year plan.
I know, but they're getting closer.
Yeah,
We're
right.
like 3 years out, 4 years out now, but, so, Rayma did say that she talked to Anne Marie Learned about it, and that there is a new regime, and they were going to reach out and see, for them. But we could definitely start having before March, we could start in January and have a work session
Yeah.
with Ned and
Yeah.
Rayma
Yeah.
to talk about it, so.
Because the other possibility, Al Blakely came in and he was speaking on behalf of a few of the people that have been there and just, he wondered, and he was gonna go talk to Pierre about it. He wondered why we couldn't use one of the schools because he said, I think 2 schools within this region closed for the day
Yeah.
because of voting.
Laconia votes in the schools,
So he thought maybe.
and they do a professional education
Yeah.
for the teachers
Yeah.
and have the schools. Raleigh votes in the schools.
So that's a possibility, and it seems like.
Historically, it's been a non-starter.
But I think you have a different administration
Regime
there too.
yeah.
Well, and I think people should bring pressure to bear if that's what we want to do. School
Yeah.
board at the school board.
Yeah.
So we can schedule a work session in
Okay.
January to
Perfect.
have
Yeah.
to discuss it. That gives us plenty of time to start preparing.
Yeah.
So,
I'm thinking, January might be too close, and then I'm realizing it's almost December.
yeah.
It's not that far out.
Got your turkey yet? Yeah.
No.
No, me either.
I got it.
There might be 2 small turkeys instead of a big one.
So Carol, did we hit yours?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a couple. I was approached by Rob Glassett, who is the one who always gets called at the last minute to make sure the Christmas tree is electrified.
They're picking it up tomorrow.
Right. So he was asking about basically installing a service where we put the tree yearly, which makes sense.
It does. I don't know why we just don't have a tree, but permanently.
Well, yeah, there was a big talk about that, and then it takes up the green
It takes
space
up
that
the
we
green
use for
space.
other things, and
So I guess we'd have to, maybe we could run it near one of the lights so it's not in the middle of the green space as well.
well,
Right.
yeah, well, there are. Yes, you can actually put a plate over it, so you only use it. So it's not people
Oh, yeah.
kicking service, or there wouldn't be a pole there. And he was going to approach Jeff Goodrum about helping with that. So if at all, and of course we want to get the tree all ready. So
Yeah.
we'll do what we did last year, but at the same time, talking about getting some information together to get that done.
And he should know because he was asked to be an important position there that night. So he knows, he remembers the event.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
He may not know when he has to help decorate.
Yeah,
Yeah, he may not, but my understanding is Mark thought he was picking it up tomorrow,
okay.
so, because they.
From,
it's our-
It's not like
It's
it's
gonna
From
be
the
in next
traffic
week.
circle?
I don't know.
You
Do
don't
you
know.
know,
They're
Les,
just
where they found
curious.
it?
No, I'm not sure they said the location, just that they had a wonderful tree.
He
Okay.
went out to look at it already because he was afraid that often they get to go out there and pick it up and I'm like, we can't pick this up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
So-
can't get to it,
Right,
Yeah.
so,
yeah.
Christmas tree.
I asked a couple of questions and I found out that, did you send the letter of thank you to to Dave Dyer?
no, because I had a question about that and Butch and I talked about it this week. So I wasn't sure if we just sent the letter to him or if we wanted to do something like we did with the Conservation Commission and posted it and then send it to him as well, post it in all the avenues.
So I would post it and then send it, but include Mike Sharp.
Oh,
Because it was Dave donated the machine, Mike trucked it and actually put the operator in it
okay.
and did the work.
Well, that's good to know because we didn't know that.
Yeah.
so-
Yeah. So between the two, so if we could go to both, that
Yep,
would
we
be,
can do that.
that would be great. They teamed up on that.
So we'll post it in all the social media
Yep.
things as well, and then we'll send them
Great.
a letter. So.
And then this came up on a Facebook post on the Veterans Day. No, it wasn't the Veterans Day. Someone had posted a picture of a monument of the basically desert storm monument that we have.
With a misspelling.
No,
No,
there are
there
some
wasn't
names
that.
that are missing.
Oh,
And then it brought to mind that we had a request about a spelling on a name.
which Butch was working with that. I can find out where that's
So
at.
I'd like to find out who we talked to about either adding or supplementing or fixing that and getting it out there. I want to. Basically, there were two people who mentioned that their name were missing on that roster. And so I thought maybe we could get it out there and ask if there are any known additions.
I think on the spelling, if I remember correctly, I think he referred that person because you have to replace the whole piece on that one.
Okay.
Because the whole piece is one of those brass pieces. All the big
Well,
ones.
that's the situation here too, but
And it's not engraved, it's raised, right?
Yeah, that one's
one,
raised.
right.
right.
So I think the last thing I saw is he gave the person contact information.
If we have to add names, though, it would be good to get it all done
I'll
at the
have to
same
look.
time. That would
Right,
justify doing a new.
I think it would.
Well, it's a different one. Isn't
It's
it?
a different one, yeah. This because that one I don't remember what that one was, but
It's 1990s, I thought, but maybe it's not. Let me.
well, this was the Desert Shield storm, so that was
90s, right?
Yeah, so it may all be the same one.
It might be because this one, her brother's name was spelled wrong.
Right. So if we could correct it all at once
That would be
and
awesome.
add the names that we know of.
So we
that-
do know that we did not do this particular monument, but we can certainly reach out to them. Are you saying you have the town pay for a new one?
Well,
If they can't.
it's not the whole monument. It's
Just no, this is the brass and
Right.
it's pretty
Right.
big.
right, and I get it, and I know
Okay,
there's an
yep.
expense there, but in the grand scheme of
It
things,
should be.
Who paid for it the first time around? It doesn't matter. It wasn't
I
us.
honestly think it was
Not WFW? Would they have done it?
VFW, I thought is what they said. I was,
Yeah, because it wouldn't be the Legion, would they? Would it?
It would be nice, would it be smarter to have engraved ones that then you could
add
change
or
later?
change.
Because they
yeah.
can come out and engrave
Well,
right on them, right?
back then it was
They can do a
probably-
field and change on it.
But on this one, it shouldn't.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, let's find out what our options are.
Okay, well, I'll do that and get back to you.
Yeah.
I think it's a reasonable.
So how, do you throw it on Facebook? Do you throw it out there and say?
Yeah, that's what I don't know. At this point, I told him I would bring it up and then I'll get back to them that we brought it up
And we can find out whose name is in this thing.
Yeah. I can give you those.
Okay.
But I'm saying, we throw it out there to the public and say, let us know on Facebook. I know I've said this before about the Bristol Town Crier and the Newfound Lake pages, that we want to not,
Oh.
you know, that do you throw it out there and say, let us know?
That we'll be updating this to put
Yeah.
missing people, and
Yeah.
if you know of somebody missing, we need to know right away.
Yep.
I mean, I know we have our own Facebook page, but a lot of people.
Yeah, no, I think that's
Then we can all share it.
Yeah.
and-
Yeah, and people can comment on it.
Yeah.
okay.
I can get some more information. How's
Okay,
that?
thank you. I think that's good for me.
And Ronnie didn't express interest in moving to the grass. I talked to him about it again, and it sounded
Well,
like,
And I was surprised that they didn't complain because I texted you that I forgot to mention that at the last meeting.
About the dumpster.
It was only supposed to be there 2 to 3 days,
Yeah.
and when Friday hit, it was still there, and I'm like,
oh, and somebody mentioned to me about that. Oh, they didn't put any planks down, and it shouldn't be on the sidewalk. The front wheels were up
Yeah.
on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
oh, no, Mark
I'm
didn't
just
say
throwing it out
that
there.
to me.
Just sentiments while we
It
were
shouldn't
standing there
have
for
been.
I
Veterans
didn't
Day.
see any evidence of, you
I've
know,
seen nothing.
So, yeah,
damage.
so it was I forgot to mention it at your last meeting, so I texted Sean, just
Yeah.
said, hey, just FYI, I've given this guy permission to be there 2 to 3 days. Turned into longer, but it's gone now, and I didn't see any damage. I asked Mark to check it, and we didn't see any damage.
I didn't see
so.
anything obvious. Not that I'm there every morning. For coffee.
No, not at all.
Okay, that's all I have. Any other items?
I
No?
am, well, if I forget, I'll text you tomorrow.
Okay. We'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
By Carol and seconded by Anita. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, 4-0. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Deb.